Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of News You Can Use, Rebooted. I'm Thera Martin, your host, and I am so glad for the opportunity to come back into your home or your place of business, wherever it is that you happen to be watching this program right now. Today on the program, in our first segment, we are going to shine the spotlight on an organization called Human Rights Coalition. The executive director, Shakaboona Marshall, is here to tell that story. And then when we turn the page, we will talk with Ann Turner. She's the president of the Pennsylvania Professional Image Alliance, and she's got a special testimony to share as well. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment. Hello, everybody. Here we go with the program. Thanks for joining us today. Shakaboona Marshall is my guest. Welcome to the studios of LaSalle TV.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Thera.
Yes. And it was a blessing when I was introduced to you. It was all real fast and all of that. And I said, oh, yeah, I need you for my radio show. And then we got on the radio program and I introduced you completely wrong, gave you a whole, I associated you with a whole nother organization. But I still appreciate the fact that you forgave me for that little blunder and that you're here today with me on the cable TV show. Right. So, Human Rights Coalition. How long has your organization been around and what do you all do?
My organization been around for 20 or more years, started in 2000, and what we have been doing is we work to help families of formerly incarcerated empower themselves and stuff, and we also help incarcerated people, and we help the formerly incarcerated people. And we help them by trying to, one, with incarcerated people, we try to get different laws changed. For example, they have death by incarceration, and we believe that people deserve second chances, so we're trying to get people who have life sentences with, we're trying to get them to have parole, and they don't have the opportunity. It doesn't mean that you're going to get out, but at least you will have the opportunity. And so for formerly incarcerated, we're trying to get a lot of their rights restored. And for families, we're just trying to help families heal, and we're trying to better our community.
Well, now, one of the things that every single election cycle, I like to try to go over one more time, is the part about people who have been incarcerated who can have the opportunity to still vote, that everybody is not X'd off the list, like, oh, you can't vote because you made a mistake in life. Yeah. Can you talk us through that real quick?
Yeah, so in Pennsylvania, people who are paroled into society and are re-entering society, these formerly incarcerated people, they have the right to vote, and they can exercise their right to vote. Only thing they have to do is register and then vote when election time comes around. The only problem is that these same formerly incarcerated people, even though they are given the right to vote back, right, they are discriminated against. So, like, people who have formerly incarcerated, they cannot serve on a jury. They cannot run for office. They continue to have to pay fees and fines for the remainder of their lives. And so we find this a big problem. And I think one of the biggest problems that formerly incarcerated people are discriminated against is receiving housing.
You're reading my mind.
Everyone needs housing. Housing is a human right.
Right.
Same as health care. And they are denied both.
Well, so now one of the hiccups that I came to learn about with formerly incarcerated people or they were coming out of prison. And because I used to go in and try to do voter registration with Leotis Jones, if you remember that name.
Yeah, I remember.
He was, I call him my brother. And we would go and do voter registration inside the prison. And so but they're coming out. They'll be out in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, so they're going to make it in time to get the voter registration done, and they should be able to vote in time. But the hiccup that caught them was, we only have temporary housing, so that's not a real address. You can't use that address. Or that's what the kind of thing that we were told. Yeah. And I'm going back 12, 13, 14 years ago when that kind of conversation would come up and we'd be like, now what do we do? Yeah. So is that still an issue if you are living in a shelter, let's say, that wasn't an acceptable address, it had to be your home address?
Yeah. Well, now they done changed the policy.
Okay.
So they made it quite easy for a person that's like incarcerated, especially in the county jail system of Philadelphia. So what they can do is they have to use their last known address. And as long as they use their last known address, then they're fine.
Okay.
And it goes with them when they're released from custody and they go back into society. They can just go and use their last address.
Okay, so now housing discrimination is supposed to be wrong. All kinds of discrimination is supposed to be wrong in the year 2023, but yet it does still happen. So I know, like with PHA housing, if let's say I'm a grandmom and I have a PHA property, and then my cousin comes home from prison and he wants to live with me, he can't because he was a convicted felon.
Yes, that's still there.
Yeah, I thought so.
And that was implemented by the federal government. And a lot of state governments, including Pennsylvania, follow suit. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this rally come May 12th to shine a light on such things like that. Such things as the housing discrimination against formerly incarcerated. Such things against formerly incarcerated people not receiving mental health care treatment. And so a lot of people that's incarcerated, that's a traumatic event for anyone, no matter how long you spend inside a prison.
Yes.
It's a traumatic experience. So a lot of people come home with PTSD and other type of mental health issues, and they need counseling.
Yes.
However, they're not provided the counseling. So we're trying to raise awareness about that. We're trying to raise awareness about, the racial profiling that many of the candidates are trying to bring back in this mayoral election. They're trying to bring back the stop and frisk. And we're talking about the racist aspects of stop and frisk, not just stop and frisk for lawful means, because that's perfectly legal. But when it becomes illegal is when you're racially targeting certain people. And we want to bring awareness to this, and we want to put a stop to this before it even begins.
Okay, so Shakaboona Marshall, who is our guest, he's the executive director of the Human Rights Coalition, and he's telling us a number of things that are important, bits of information that we want to keep in our heads and we want to share with you, our viewers. But also, we want you to mark the date, if you care about formerly incarcerated people. If you have a loved one in your family who's been incarcerated in their home now, or maybe still in prison, but to show solidarity with them, to show caring for them, you might want to just show up at this Formerly Incarcerated People and Families rally and weekend coming up the weekend of May 12th. That's Mother's Day weekend. That's Mother's Day weekend. So where are you going to be? Where's the main focus of where you'll be?
Let me say this, because it's going to be Mother's Day weekend. So I got to get a shout out to all the Mother's Day, all the mothers in the world, especially in Philly. And all of us come from a mother. We have a mother, so we wanted to honor them with this weekend of power action. And so what we're having is on May 12th, on Friday, from 4 to 6 at City Hall on the north side of the apron. We're having a rally of formerly incarcerated people, their families, and all interested people. So you have a lot of people who are student activists, community activists, human rights activists. We want them all to come on down, because one thing we know that we have 350,000 formerly incarcerated people in Philadelphia alone. All of them have families. They have mothers, they have fathers, right? They have uncles and aunts, they have wives, they have children, and even grandchildren. And so we want everybody to take notice of this. This is a huge issue that we all need to address. We believe that democracy is for everyone, including formerly incarcerated people and incarcerated people, because incarcerated people are de facto disenfranchised, and we want to give them their right to vote back. It shouldn't be the only states in this United States, Vermont and Maine, be the only ones that allow incarcerated people to vote. That should be in all 50 states.
Now, what about some of these individuals who have jobs working in penal institutions and our city, state, federal institutions that are in charge, that hold the keys, that can rule over an inmate's life? Do you think there's any kind of additional sensitivity programs or classes that folks who work in prisons should have, maybe to appear to be more caring?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think if you are going to serve as a correctional officer, right? And I believe this to be so even if it's a police officer or a military person, right? You need to be taught, right, humanity. You need to be taught that people still deserve to be treated with dignity and respect.
Right.
That we're all human beings, regardless of the job that you got to do, and regardless of what that person have been convicted of.
Yes.
And so, yes, they do need it, because in the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections and even in the Philadelphia County jails, there's a culture among correctional officers of hatred against people who are incarcerated, irregardless of their color.
So they need to work on that. They definitely need
Yes.
to work on that. So again, Friday, May the 12th is when your event starts with the Formerly Incarcerated People and Families Rally and Weekend. And then Saturday, what's going to happen Saturday, and where will you be?
All right, so let me tell you, Friday, we telling everybody to come out, because we got entertainers. We got Joey DeVille coming out. We got Man E from Pittsburgh coming out. We got Black Rap Medusa. We got many entertainers coming out. So it's going to be a entertaining affair, and it's also going to be an educational affair.
Okay.
I like to call it edutainment.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
And so we're going to have speakers come out from all different type of organizations around Philadelphia.
Okay.
And then on the weekend, we're going to have a nice weekend. We're going to do canvassing around the communities, around the mayoral elections and the city council elections. We're going to have a big picnic on Saturday. We're encouraging everybody to come back.
Where the food at?
It's going to be up on Lemon Hill. It's on Lemon Hill.
We know where that
that
is.
It's going to be from like 1 to about 5, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And so we encourage everybody to come there. It's going to be free food, entertainment, and stuff like that. So, we're going to have a big affair, but it's all about having a power weekend. We want to show the people of Philadelphia, including the politicians, that formerly incarcerated people, we are here. We work in government, we work in restaurants, we work in hotels, we work in delivery. We're everywhere. And so, and we won't continue to have our rights taken away from us and treated disrespectfully.
Before we run out of time, please, a phone number where people can reach you and a website where people can read more about your organization, Human Rights Coalition.
All right, my name is Shakaboona Marshall. I can be reached at 215-888-7762.
Say it again.
215-888-7762. And we can be reached at hrcoalition at gmail.com. I think it's gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
hrcoalition@gmail.com. That would be the email address. And
.org, pardon me, .org.
And so the website,
hrcoalition.org.
hrcoalition.org.
.org.
All right, you can learn all about the various programs and information that Shakaboona Marshall and his organization, Human Rights Coalition, are doing. They've been around for just over 20 years, and they're doing the work that maybe some other people don't find too popular, but it's work that's very important indeed. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Thera. I appreciate it myself.
All righty. We will continue our program in just a moment, and we will come back with another one of our shining stars from Philadelphia. I'm talking about Ann Turner, and boy, does she have a story to tell. Stay with us.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place, and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/knowtherisks.
Our story was begun by someone else. Our story was often shaped by generations before them. Our story was forged and maybe even defined by the experiences of our childhood. But it doesn't need to be. You can be the author. Learn how at numberstory.org.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hook to the dollar featuring on my mind. Return of the creature that crawled from the subway line.
We are back right now, and I am so delighted to be able to introduce the salon and to present to others this next guest of mine. Ann Turner is here. So good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, let me get this right. The president of the North 63rd Street Business Association.
Yes.
And owner of her own beauty salon at 1989 North 63rd Street. And the president of the Pennsylvania Professional Image Alliance.
Yes.
And that's how I really met you. Okay. I hate to keep referring back to the pandemic. I know some of my viewers are probably saying, she's still stuck on the pandemic. But I kind of am, because we got to talk about it. I mean, that was a major event in the world history, not just in Thera's history, world history. And the pandemic brought a lot of us to our knees. In fact, it brought the world to its knees. Yes. And everything stopped for a while. All non-essential businesses had to shut down, and that did include barbershops and beauty salons and all of that. And on top of that, in May, at the end of May, into the first 2 days of June of 2020, right after George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, some business quarters, like where I'm a business quarter manager, North 22nd Street, we got hit hard with looting and craziness. So a lot of businesses, some of the barbershops, beauty salons, windows broken, and just, you know, and products stolen and all of that. So it was really a tough time. But that's when I met you in the midst of the craziness. I wasn't even in Philly, but I'm trying to help from North Carolina. I'm using my telephone, my email, and texting and Facebook, and FaceTime, and all that to stay in touch with business owners. And you came out of nowhere. I'm Ann Turner. I'm the president of the North 22nd Street, North 63rd Street Business Association. I own my own shop, and I got to help these business owners. We are struggling down here. And you went from there to founding Pennsylvania Professional Image Alliance, and you really did help beauty salon owners and barbershops and other people in that beauty arena field during probably the toughest time ever of their business career, the pandemic. So what motivated you? What inspired you to get going?
So first I want to thank God. I think the hardest thing for me was knowing that you take the time to build something and you watching it being taken away from you. Because I'm the president of 63rd Street Business Association, we had a lot of relationships with a lot of the leaders. And when I saw that some of the businesses that I knew had restaurants and daycares, they were getting resources, and the beauty and barbershop owners were not. And I knew we wasn't as savvy because we're very innovative and we're very creative. So I knew financially we're not going to make it. You know, some of the businesses that didn't take all the classes that I've taken over the 5 to 10 years, they wasn't going to be prepared. So when I started having meetings with some of the businesses that were seasoned, I realized we're in trouble. How do we organize? How do we galvanize? How do we make sure that we're not getting pushed out? Because each time we would apply for something, we wasn't getting no answers, or we were getting a runaround. And then I'm looking at some of my other friends that had businesses receiving resources to kind of keep them afloat, and we just kept getting, oh, well, you guys are not paying your taxes. I'm like, well, that's not accurate, because we have a lot of us that do have our taxes. We have issues with the city, the state. We wasn't getting no answers. Even from the state, I'm a licensed cosmetologist. We did not have access to anybody from the state level. So we had to galvanize and figure out, how do we become safe? You know, and then we started working with the doctors, and they was able to help us and give us real answers, because we were getting so many different advice, you know, like, is it airborne? You know, do you sneeze on somebody? It was almost like how we were not informed with AIDS. The pandemic was similar. So, you know, it kind of forced us to really step up and do the work.
So by the time you got finished working your magic, not only did you have North 63rd Street business owners and the hair salons and the barbershops in particular saying, yeah, we want to join your group, we want to be with you. You went citywide, and you went outside of the city, I hear. You got people out and Yeadon and Lansdowne and all of that are also coming under your umbrella, and other parts of the state also. It's serious. It is serious what you did. And again, I believe, from where I sit, you helped save a lot of small businesses, Black businesses in particular, that are hair care businesses.
Well, I thank God, because I look at, people understand when you're coming from the heart. And I have to say, we can't be lazy. Just like we stand behind the chair and do 20 hours of styling, we have to take 20 minutes to do paperwork. And so once we started doing Zooms for 1 hour to 3 hours to 5 hours sometimes, we express our passion and our love, but also our vision. Like, we matter in our neighborhoods. We're more than just a hair salon or a barbershop. We do give back more than people realize. And I think during the pandemic, people started noticing, not only do your hair look better, you know, your self-esteem. You know, you would talk to your stylist like you talk to your therapist.
Yes.
And it was a lack, you know. So I think across the state, people heard our heart. They saw the love that we have and something that we built. We've never received grant funding before. I would say 95% of the businesses that came together never had outside help. We never had old money in the family. You know, it took us to say, you know what, I want to work on something and build something. So to see it being ripped apart, it was like 40% of our businesses were shut down and they'll never reopen. And that to me was what I would think about in the morning when I would get up. When I would text people 2 o'clock in the morning, I would email 4:30 in the morning. Like, she's emailing 4:30. But I think the government did a great job.
Yeah.
You know, I think when we needed the unemployment, it was needed.
Yes.
I think there was a lot of fraud in the very beginning. And when we saw bigger companies receiving money,
Oh, it was crazy.
it was frustrating.
Like, huh?
It was really frustrating because they kept saying, we're going to help the smaller businesses.
yeah.
And if we build the ecosystem and drive sales to our small families that we support, why wasn't we getting respect and support, you know? So I'm thankful. You know.
Now, Congressman Dwight Evans, State Senator Vincent Hughes, in particular, I remember Senator Vincent Hughes during the height of the pandemic, and once things started getting a little bit better, and he was communicating back and forth with you, and he participated in some of the Zoom meetings that you had and all of that, and so he was really trying to help from where he sat. And I still hear about there's money sitting up in Harrisburg that hasn't been touched yet, that they are sitting on, and I can't understand that at all. But I'm glad that Senator Hughes stepped up to help you out.
I think that if it wasn't for Senator Hughes, I can say I took my hat off to him, and I'm blessed that his wife was able to receive an award, because it takes strong leadership to make a difference in your city, and he stepped up. We received $225 million across the state, and I was surprised.
Wait a minute, let's say that again, $225
million
million for
and no
barbershops
other
and beauty
states.
salons.
Yes, the beauty,
What?
And
you
it was
started
just for
that?
small businesses. Yeah, I would say we had to put a lot of paperwork in.
Yeah,
but I think
I need to know you.
I think the part that small businesses had to understand that you can't do it by yourself. And then it's okay to ask for help. I think sometimes our ego get in the way, and at the very beginning, people was thinking it's not real. You know, we really don't know what to do, and some people would check out. And there were times when you had to make that call and say, you can do this. And I think Senator Hughes heard that when we would contact him. I said, you guys are still getting paid. Like a lot of the politicians that we were familiar with, you guys are still getting a check during the height of the pandemic, sitting home doing Zoom calls. Well, we're trying to figure our life out and figure out how we're going to pay for college for some of our children. So the need was there. And I think that resonated with all the leaders. And now, not just me, but all the leaders that's a part of PPIA is respected and supported.
Well, I know that you're having a celebration of sorts, a private event coming up where Patty is going to be your mistress of ceremonies, radio personality, my sister, friend in broadcasting from WDAS-FM, and that the Honorable Congressman Dwight Evans is going to be there, and the Honorable Vincent Hughes is going to be there, and you've got Devin Allen, he's going to be there getting an award. He's a principal with consulting services. Keith Ellison, you got Dr. Dorisa Haynes, Dr. Florence Plaisir. Ooh, I like that name. And tell us about this event, because we're almost out of time, but I want people to know, because it's coming up the weekend of this weekend.
Yeah, May
this
7th,
weekend,
May
May 7th, this Sunday.
So, so from 4 to 7, we decided to do our own fundraiser instead of always asking the government to support us. All the businesses across Philadelphia is coming out to support the Beauty and Barber Ball. And the funding that will go towards the apprenticeship program that we started and the Business Accelerator. So we've been able to educate businesses on the importance of websites, the importance of business banking. We've increased so many of our businesses to pay their taxes and to be in compliance. Like a lot of times we don't know about the commercial activities license. So when we do these fundraisers, this will be our first time ever doing a fundraiser for PA Professional Image Alliance. And I'm proud of us to see all the businesses purchase their tickets, use their hard-earned money to say, you know what, I want to give back to build up our organization and the next generation.
That is so exciting. I'm so excited for you. I know it's at the 11th hour, but are there any tickets left?
There's a few.
1 or 2 left, maybe?
There's a few.
So a smart person viewing the program right now, if you want a ticket, you better hurry up and call or website or what?
Yeah, we have our website. You can look on our website. It's called penpro.org. So it's PENNPRIO.org.
Okay.
So penpro.org.
And it will be for a worthy cause, supporting this wonderful organization that you started, the Pennsylvania Professional Image Alliance. And if folks want to become members, they can also go to that same website?
Yes, you can just check the website out. You'll see all the amazing work. To become a member, we do ask that you commit to taking classes. You just can't become a member and receive grant money. We always say it's important to learn and grow. So that's the only criteria.
Any student memberships? I think about Dobbins High School, where there's young, up-and-coming cosmetologists over there. Is there a...
So we do have partnerships with Empire. We also have a partnership with Dobbins. We have some of our ladies that's on the advisory board. So we have phenomenal leaders that's in the barber industry. So advanced classes, cutting classes, you name it, we have it on our team. So, yeah, it's definitely important.
Well, this is all good, all good. I thank you so much for coming and sharing some of your time. You are so precious. You're amazing, and we just appreciate the spirit that you have for wanting to reach back and help all these other barbers and beauticians. You could have just said, I'm just take care of me. You didn't do that. You took care of the whole city, and you try and take care of the state. We appreciate it. That just about wraps it up for this edition of News You Can Use, and we thank you so much for checking us out today. It is going to be Mother's Day weekend in half a second, and so for everybody who is blessed enough to still have your mother, treasure her, love her, take care of her, respect her, man. Got to do that, because I know what it is to not have a mother anymore, and so I have to just remember her and salute her and hope she's hearing me from up there in heaven. Everybody, you take care, stay safe. Remember, life is fragile. Handle it with